Hello, everybody. Hello. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you. Kinzo, Fires Farmstead. Nice to see you here. How are we all doing? It's been a while. I was trying to come in with the music, but the music is not just, it's not coming. It's not working. Okay, maybe I should leave it and then because of our time, or I should still look for it. Hello, everybody. We're talking about dry season. That's the season we are right now. Dry season farming. It's been a while. Good to have everybody on board. Good to see us on board. Good to see us. Good to see us. Yeah, hello. Hello, we are just three. Hoping that, femalepreneurs, that's good. Yeah, and music, we are farmers. Hello, femalepreneurs. My kids have an online platform, Twinpreneur. That's their name. Good to have you here. Good morning, good afternoon. This is afternoon. Yeah, that's another song by Roti. I'm not playing the one song by those Futa guys. You're laughing, Kinzo. Okay, so today, yes, the Shagbe. Oh, Mr. Sadiq. Good to have you. Ishagbe, Ishailewa, I'm a Yoruba woman. Yes. Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks for coming. That's our music because we are farmers and we are proud to be here. So I'm going to stop the music now and then we'll start right away. At least we've listened to a bit of Roti, Iwekiko by Roti, and then we'll go on to today's topic. Thanks for joining in. Okay, I'm pausing the music. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Nice to have you back. It's been a while. Oh, Kindle was notifying people. Oh, thank you so much. That's my BFF. So we are talking about dry season farming. That's what we're talking about. And after putting up the post, I remembered Kindle reposting and telling us that that's where the money is, which is just the truth. Dry season farming, also at this time, there are so many things that might go wrong if you're not careful as farmers. There are so many things might actually go wrong if you're not careful as farmers. Nice to have you on board, everyone. Like I said, we're talking about dry season farming. That's what we're talking about. As a farmer, this is a time that you can make 100%. Let me say 80 to 90% of your investment. At the same time, you can also get it wrong. This is another period that if you're not careful, what you have invested might also go down through the drain if you're not careful. I mean, if you do not have the best practices. So, dry season farming, that's what we're talking about. The whole essence of this is when we talk about farming, availability of food all year is very, very important for any nation. And talking about dry season in Nigeria, Africa as a whole, and then Nigeria as a nation, I've said that availability of food all year round is very, very important for any nation. Of course, without food, a whole lot of us would not be here. So we know that food is very essential. So bringing it down to dry season now, since we want food to be available all year round. We actually want food to be available, to be on our table all year round. What can we do around this time? What can we do around this period? We do not have so much time. I'm going to spend about 30 minutes and then we're done. So some of the things I'll be talking about, if we are very observant, especially as farmers, you will notice that vegetables around this time are usually very scarce and expensive. The vegetables around this time, starting from November. Okay, dry season period. Maybe I should tell us the period first. From November, you know that raining season, we have our raining season starting off from April, and then the peak of the rain is actually around May, June, and then July, and then we have the August break. And then by September, the rains will start again. So, although some people would say with global warming, it's not really like that anymore. But I know that we will still experience dry season no matter what. So at the peak of, dry season actually starts from November and then till March. Some of the fruit or vegetables, crops that are usually very scarce around this time. Vegetables are usually very scarce. You hardly get vegetables around this time. And if you do, they can be very, very expensive. That's another thing we need to take note of. And why is this like that? Why does it happen like this? I remember growing up, and even up till now, as a mother, whenever I go to the market, I know that during Christmas period, we all want to eat. You want to eat Christmas food. So you want to make that special delicacy that you would not make all the time, especially when we're growing up. And I remember vividly that cucumber is around that period, what we see in the market is usually one skinny looking stuff like that. Cucumber that we see around that time, very funny looking around Christmas period. So I'm talking about from next month, December, the cucumber you will begin to see, January, are usually very, very funny looking, always skinny, not so big. So which means that these are some of the vegetables that are scarce, that that requires lots of water. And because it's dry season, you hardly get these vegetables around this period. Even when you get there, they become very expensive. So as a farmer, what do we need to do? Which means that for our dry season farming, we need to start planning. When I mean planning, dry season, another one, we have entered into one already now. And if you haven't made enough provisions, how do you plan? What do you need to plan for? If you haven't made enough provisions this time around, then which means you're a bit late. So what you will need to do is you need to begin to plan against next year, just to get it right. We have said that you can make 100% of your investment. So I'm also saying that before you can actually make 100% of that investment, planning is very, very essential, is very, very, very key. So without planning, you might not be able to. So against next year, I would advise that you begin to plan for dry season. Now, there are some things that we are not subsistence farmers. That's one thing I need us to know. We are not, we are looking at farming at a commercial level now. So if you are going to go into particularly vegetables, crop farming especially, you will need what we call irrigation, at least for you to be able to plan. Yes, we are talking about 2018. So that's why I said you need to begin to plan for your dry season next year. Your dry season for next year, you need to begin to plan for it now. So I'm going to be talking about irrigation. We are all familiar with the different types of irrigation. Yes, it can be expensive, but if you're talking about 100%, return, ROI on our investment, then we would need irrigation on our farms. Even if it's 1 acre. There are some people that can actually have a makeshift irrigation. Oh, I don't have the pictures of one that I have here. Very interesting kind of irrigation, because the farm is not so big and they just had to improvise. They had to come up with something. So we have drip, we have rain gun, we have sprinklers, irrigation. I don't know. I mean, those are the three popular ones that I'm aware of. So we have drip that is particularly very good for vegetables. I know that some vegetables might not require drip. I heard about that. Lettuce or so. I'm not too sure about it. But I heard that maybe sprinkler or rain gun will be good. And there has been a lot of debates on rain gun, that it's wastewater, it does this. Spray tube, yes. Spray tube. So sprinkler is, I think they are the same. Spray tube and sprinkler, they are the same. So no, they are not. They are not. Spray and then sprinkler. The sprinkler is those ones that we have around our gardens. So dry season farming. Around this time, you would also notice that the forest around us, even our grasses at home or anything around us, any green that we have at home around this time actually turns brown if you're not careful. So apart from you planning, which is very essential, that is planning for your irrigation, we are talking about you planning against next year now. We should also, I'm going to talk about land preparation. If you're going to prepare for land, I remember there was a time Kinzo was saying they were planning against next year for their, they were doing their, what do you call this? For their yam, their ridges for the yam. And they were doing it sometimes in October. That is still under planning, even though it is under land preparation as well. They were doing it against next year. They're planting next year, but they started with the what do you call this thing? With the ridges now in October this year. And I was wondering why. Hips, yes, the hips for the yam. And I was wondering why. And he said, because it will be very difficult to do it next year. By then the land would have been very dry, but now it's still a bit wet. So they'll be able to do the hips on time for the yam right now. And then is in the northern part of Nigeria, another factor we need to consider. And the way the weather is over there. We are in the south, you're in the southwest. We can't compare the way we will prepare our land to the way they will do theirs in the northern part of Nigeria. These are some of the things we need to take into consideration. Planning, and then we are saying that even planning our land preparation as well is also very important. So when he said he was doing the hips of yarn, I looked at it. I said, oh, this is very interesting for me. You're in the northern part of Nigeria, so which means that experience, it's I would answer your questions between drip irrigation, straight tube, which is more effective. It depends on actually what you're planting. It depends on what you're planting, because there's been a lot of debate everywhere. Rain gun, a lot of people will tell you that it's wastewater. It's heads in the in weeds growing and everything. So I'm still talking about, I'll answer your question. Please just remind me before we finish. So I was saying that the whatever part of the country you are in is also very, very important. Those our brothers and our sisters in the northern part of Nigeria, as farmers, for whatever they need to do, they need to prepare the land now. It's easier for them to do. Even we in the southwest, it's not as if it's not going to be dry, but the kind of sun that we have around here, God is just awesome. I don't know how God just did it. If we go back to our basic geography. So we're not saying that we cannot plan as well. We need to. The farmers around here in the southwest, in the south, we need to prepare our land. Another thing that I know that apart from planning, apart from your yes, hi, thanks for joining us. Apart from planning, apart from your land preparation, we have spoken about the different types of drips that you would need as a farmer. And I've also said that this year, it's it's a bit late, but not too late. We are just entering the dry season, but you can actually plan ahead of next year as a farmer to be able to get 100%. Some other things that we need to look into, dry season especially. I saw on a friend's line this morning, on a friend's page, sorry, earlier this morning, is at somewhere in Ibadan, and he said, I'll take questions after, please. Let me just go through this for a while, and then I'll come back to questions. So he was saying that, oh, there's Harmattan in this other part of the country, even though he's somewhere in the southwest, Ibadan to be precise. And he mentioned some of the flies that we might be seeing on our farms. And I know that sometimes in October, I mean, we are just 3 days into November, sometimes in October, he brought out a particular tape. I'm trying to look for the name of the tape. Yellow sticky trap. Yes, that's the name. Yellow sticky trap. That's the name. He has it on his farm. He even sells it. So he brought it out and he put it on his farm. I was on his farm last week. Yes, white flies. He's not even allowed me to land. I was on his farm last week. He has cucumber. He has tomatoes. He has eggplant. He has about 4 different types of vegetables on his farm. And he didn't think that the white flies will have come out by now. So he only put the yellow sticky tape at the end of October, getting to the end of October. That was when he put the tape on the farm, and he discovered that they had a lot of them on the farm. And these are some of the things that can actually destroy our crops. These are some of the things that we need to watch out for. Also, there is another one, fireflies. Am I right? I hope I'm right. I know there are different types of flies, but I'm not going to be talking about the insects that we need to watch out for. But I've just mentioned, I will mention, 1 or 2 that I'm very familiar with. So like I said, I would always bring in an expert that will talk about this, because that, my friend, he knows about it, and he will be able to tell us more about it. So hopefully next week, I hope I'll be able to get him on board for him to do justice to that aspect. So we're still going to continue talking about dry season farming for a while, because that's the season we are into right now, and we need to get it right as farmers. So quickly, I'll just look at some of our questions, and then I will continue. Like I said, I have just 30 minutes for today. So if you can't prepare your land now for planting in December, sorry, I'm not getting that question. So you can't prepare your land now. You can for planting in December this year in the southwest, south. You can still go ahead. We are just saying that, we are not saying that you can't. You can even plant anything. Don't get me wrong. We are saying that it will become more difficult because this is still early. November, the ground is still a bit wet. If we go into our different farms, at least we still have a little bit of moisture. Let me put it that way. But by the time you are getting into the peak of the dry season, around end of December, around January, February, you will discover that it's dry. I have grasses at home. I have a lawn at home, and my grasses around that time is usually very ugly. It turns brown. And so what I do most times is I just look for manure. I just keep putting manure, and that's about the time that we keep wetting every day. We keep wetting the grasses every day. So the same applies to our farms. Do you understand? So if you don't have irrigation, then what happens to your crops? And then Kinzo said it will be more expensive because the farm hands, they will charge you more, or the workers, they will charge you more, because what they are going to do, the effort they would need to put into it will be extra. So they will charge you more compared to when the land is a bit is wet, compared to when it is wet. So I'm sure if you're going to plant in December and you want to start now, of course it's still better off than when you want to begin to your land preparation. It's better you start it now than you starting in December. Now, coming to our farm hands, we are spoken about planning, we are spoken about our land preparation. Around this time also, a lot of our farm hands, they just disappear. They go home for Christmas because we make use of, I don't know about in the north, maybe Kings will be able to say something about that in the north, but in the southwest, especially around here, around here in the southwest, I know that a lot of our farm hands are from the neighboring countries. They are from Togo, they are from Benin Republic, Cotonou. That's where they come from, and then some from the northern part of Nigeria. They come to work in the southwest. I don't know about the south. I really don't have enough information about that. So a lot of them will want to travel back home for Christmas, especially those from the neighboring countries. I know by December, mid-December, even early December, because of transportation costs, they leave early. And that is a big problem. That is a big challenge for a lot of farmers. So what do we do? What do we do when you have this kind of challenge? Since the most of the people in our community, some can be lazy, sorry to say, but that is just it. Some can be lazy, and then some can be, some are not just cut out for doing it. So since you cannot get farmers from your community, and you have vegetables that are very tender that you need to attend to every day, so what do you do? Or what can we do? I'll come back to your question, Sadiq, regarding early heaps preparation. Will the soil not go down with time prior to being ready for use? Remember, it's dry season. It's not going to rain. I'm not sure it will go down. Let me ask Kinzo. He's talking about the northern part of Nigeria, not the southwest. Now, we are looking at location as well, where we are based. We are planting yam. We are planting yam right now, somewhere in southwest Nigeria, and we've not started with the heaps. But last week, Kinzo said they have started with the heaps, but we haven't started. So, but we are planting right away. I don't think they are planting right away. So I was talking about our farm hands, that what do we do when they go home and then it looks as if we're stranded? I know that, and I also mentioned that people around us, around the community where the farms are around the communities where our farms are. I would answer your question. Please let me just finish with this. People around us, around the communities where our farms are, they might not just be interested in working for us. So it looks as if we're stranded. I mean, I can't do the job all alone. If I have up to 10 acres of land, where do I start from? Where do I go? So it looks as if we just have to plan ahead. I know that one option that we can begin to look into is to begin to look for IT students. IT students that, or NYSC, yes. We might need to go to the NYSC office around us. That is if you have a large expanse of farmland anyway. Someone with 1 or 2 acres, you might just need to source for people around your community. So, but if you have laborers issue around this time, you might need to begin to look at IT students as an option, and then NYSC as well. Those are some of the options that we need to begin to look into. So planning against next year. So if you know that your farmhand will definitely go home, you can't tell them not to go back home and enjoy themselves during Christmas period or the festive season. Do you understand? A lot of these brothers from neighboring countries, that's what they do. In fact, they will tell you from the beginning that, look, I'm going to go home at this time of the year. So when we get stranded, those are some of the things that we should begin to look into. So you asked the question, DJ, exactly when do you need to start watering your veggies in the dry season, and how often? If you're a farmer, you would know. You would know after planting. I'm sure that you will need to know if watering your vegetables. Now, are we talking about you turning on your irrigation or you doing it manually. Because if you're talking about you turning on your irrigation, irrigation is already there. The irrigation system is already there. What you need is just go to the source, turn it on, and then it's watering your vegetable. So you might need to do it twice a day, in the morning and in the evening. Same thing, even if you're doing it manually. So you might need to do that. At least your veggies will need enough water. If you notice, around this time also, I spoke about cucumber being very expensive and then funny looking thing that you will see in the market. All your vegetables, your ugu, your shoko, your ewedu. I think somebody posted on his timeline too about dry season farming, how they have fresh vegetables now. But by December, you will discover that all those vegetables will be very scarce and they become very expensive. And if you plan well as a farmer, I've said that is when you make 100% ROI, return on your investment. So Kinzo said the same thing, morning and evening. So you're expected to water it morning and evening. That is when you're expected to water it. I don't know during dry season. Of course, during rainy season, you won't tell when it will rain. In fact, sometimes you might even have so much water on our farm land. Also, one other crop that we seem to have in abundance this season, there is a particular crop. I mentioned vegetables being scarce, also maize. For those that would add value to maize, is also very scarce. So a lot of farmers that have planned ahead, they will plant maize around this time, and also rice. Kinzo, please correct me if I'm wrong. And also rice, maize and rice, they will plant. Yes, after planting, yes. So another crop, I was talking about another crop that that is in abundance this season, that we seem to have in abundance, is plantain. This is the glut period for plantain. If you're very observant, plantain is from November till about February. It's in season. It's so cheap and everything. And then from March, it's beginning to get a bit expensive. So, but right now, even for your plantain, for it to thrive well, for it to be able to fruit well and come out very well, you need to set up your drip irrigation. You need to set up your drip irrigation. So you need to do all that right now. If you have a plantain farm, you need to do that. I hope we are getting what I'm saying. Somebody has been asking a question. I think Kinzo is trying to attend to that. He's trying to answer that. So, but once you plant, you have to water, because then what type of vegetable are we even talking about? Do we understand? What type of vegetable are we talking about? We need to look at that as well. Right now, like I would always say, I would also encourage each and every one of us, even if your house is paved, if you have paved stones around you, at least have some basic vegetables at home. Have some basic vegetables at home. I'm a Yoruba woman, so we eat ewedu a lot. I can't remember, it has one long botanical name like that. We eat it a lot. What I've done is that since last year, I made sure that it's planted somewhere in my house. So we can get small pots, have all these vegetables at home. Make sure that you have the vegetables at the back of your house. So that during this, now ewedu is going to be very expensive. What you go to the market that you buy at 100 naira, I'm sure you'll be buying for 200 naira in the market. So when you have this at the back of your house, I mean, it's just a season of, it's just a time of you just going to the back of your house, even a balcony if you do not have enough space. I mean, get pots where you can put them, where they can get enough sunshine, your seeds, and then have these things all around you, so that at this time you're not buying something too expensive. sometime next year, I have a timetable that I have planned. So I'm going to come up with different challenges for the parts, for different times of the year. And then we hope to be planting, we'll be doing it together. We hope to be planting different, basic vegetables that we should all have in our different houses. It doesn't matter whether you're a man, it doesn't matter whether you're a woman. Our kids can even be part of it, and it becomes more fun and interesting. So I've already mapped it out. I know what we're going to do in the month of March next year by God's grace. I know what we will do starting from January, that we'll begin to plant. Because by June, July, some other things becomes very expensive. Some things like our tomatoes, our pepper, and then also this period, onions too is expensive. I didn't even think about it before now. I would have just planted onions at all. I've been going to the markets. I went to the market sometimes last month, and my customer, I have a malam that I buy from, and he told me that onions is expensive this time around. I'm not like, it usually comes in expensive in December, and he said it has started from October. Everything boils down to what we're talking about, our dry season farming. So we are encouraging this is even the time for as many farmers that wants to go into farming. That is, if you plan against next year, you plan very well. This is the best time for us to come into it, so that there will be surplus. I mean, there can be surplus, really, because we haven't gotten to that stage yet. We hope to get to the point. We hope to get to that stage, so that at least there will be enough for us to eat as a nation. So we need to begin to look into it. We need to to continue to spread the good news, the message around. We need to talk to people, encourage other farmers, encourage even ourselves to have these basic vegetables grown at home. That's all I have for dry season farming. It's a continuous one. We're still going to keep talking about it. It's a long one. I just wanted to do something short this afternoon because it's been a while. I came online last week, though, when I was showing us the farm planning thing. I haven't even gotten to that. So when we finish the land preparation, we need to plan our farm. If you're going large scale, you need to plan your farm. That is one aspect that farmers do not look into. They think it is expensive, and they don't do that. And I said with proper planning, that is when we can get almost 100%, even if we do not get it. And we need to know the different types of flies that thrives around this period. I'll bring in an expert that will be discussing that. He's a cucumber farmer. He's been doing it for years. He's into tomatoes as well, and into some other vegetables. Recently started with eggplant and radish. Yes, I was on his farm last week. He started with radish as well. So I'll try and see how we can come on board sometimes next week and be able to tell us more about that. Yes, organic is the way. Yes, for those that wants to go into organic farming, but it's not everyone that actually wants to go into organic farming, but that's what we are encouraging. And that's why I'm even saying that plant your basic vegetables at home. At least you won't use chemicals at home. That I'm sure of. You won't use herbicides and insecticides. That's the word. That I'm very sure of. And that's why I have some basic vegetables in my house. And come next year, by God's grace, we begin to plant. So that's that I have for today. I don't know if anybody has any question. We need to call it a day. See you again next week. I don't know whether same time, because I'm going to bring in a guest that will be talking to us about the different insects that we need to watch out for during this period. I'll try and bring in as many experts as possible at this time. So if you have any question, I'm waiting for our questions. No toxic soil. I'm waiting for our questions. But before then, okay, yes, because I have a YouTube link. I'm going to post this on YouTube. So for those that will be watching later, Sadiq says, dry season farming. Thank you, Ma. I will change the subject of discussion on my WhatsApp group to that tonight. Please ride on. Thank you very much. I'm so grateful. But before then, we have our pig farm training. Before we call it a day, we have a pig farm training coming on next week, Saturday, not tomorrow, 11th of November 2016. We are visiting the largest pig farm estate in West Africa. It's right here in Lagos, Nigeria, owned by the Lagos state government, but people buy, their pens on the farm, and then on that, in that estate, in that pig farm estate, you don't need to look for market. The market is readily available. People come from all over the country to buy from that farm, pig farm estate. People from our neighboring, I mean, our neighboring country, they also come. As far as Cotonou, Togo, I hear they come to that farm as well. I would answer your question. Let me finish with this. That they come to that farm as well to buy from them. So market is readily available. You don't even need to look for people. You will see people coming every day. They need pigs. They need pigs. And also pork. Contrary to what we have heard about, that people have said, is the most widely eaten meat in the world, pork, because it's used for so many things. So it's just 10,000 naira. We have limited slots. People have started paying already. So your 10,000 covers transportation. We have a designated point somewhere on the island, also on the mainland for those that will be joining us. We have a point that we pick people up. We have a tour bus that we go with. If you check my page, you will see tours that we have had in time past. You will see our buses. They are very convenient and very comfortable. It includes the training, the tour bus, as well as lunch, and then writing materials as well. That's for the pig farm, which is coming up next week, Saturday, November 11th to be precise. And then we're going to Shongai. Shongai, yes. Shongai is that integrated farm that is at Port Novo. Cotonou is owned by a Nigerian, a reverend father. Can you imagine? He went to set it up. I heard a story. I met the man sometimes ago. And when he shared the story, I felt so bad. I felt so sad for our country. He's been in Shongai for over 20 to 25 years now. And he actually approached our government here. And they did not buy into his idea. And he went to a neighboring country and they bought into it. And now we are having prototypes here all around us. Shongai sits on over 1,000 hectares. It's an integrated farm. Yes, we are going to Shongai December 1st to December 3rd. December 1st, a lot of people that are in paid employment that are still in their 9 to 5, they've been asking me, they will go to work, they will do this. And I said, no, December 1st is actually a public holiday. We look at that also before we fix any of our trainings and our tours. That's why most of our tours, because we are taking into consideration those that are into their 9 to 5 and they just want to start something by the side. So December 1st is a public holiday in Nigeria. If you check, it's one of these Muslim public holidays, and it's a Friday. We'll go on a Friday. It's not too far from us here in Lagos, and we come back on Sunday by God's grace. The fee covers transportation, accommodation, and then feeding all through. It's 70,000. So, but we need to, if you're going with us, you need to make payment on or before November 17th, because we need to secure these spaces. We need to secure accommodation. We need to secure our transportation as well. We need to book ahead. We need to make payment ahead. After booking, we need to make payment ahead. So if you're interested, just slide into my DM after today. We can do part payment. If you pay now and then you make sure you promise me that you're going to pay up on or before November 17th or on or before the end of the month, so that we can just secure these spaces, our accommodation and our transportation. We are traveling with a very reputable company here in Nigeria. They are well known. That's who we are traveling with. So that's about Shongai. That's about our pig farm training. Let me quickly look at some of the questions I've not been able to answer. Yeah, someone says, so if you do not have drip irrigation in dry season, Do you bother to plant at all? I think I've answered that question, even if it's close to a river. Now, I'll quickly tell you a story. I didn't want this to exceed 30 minutes, but we are going 45 minutes now. I'll tell you a story. I have a friend somewhere in the southwest of Nigeria, and they have a river very close to their farm. Big river, flowing river, fantastic. And dry season last year, January, February to be precise, the river dried up. So if your farm is close to a river, check, has it ever dried up? If the answer is yes, then I would advise you get